This weekend I learned how to make oat milk and it was extremely easy, very cheap, and delicious. Unlike the almond milk and the rice milk that I made another time. Those were disgusting and more difficult. So all you need for this recipe is oats, water, salt, and a sweetener of your choice. You can put no sweetener if you want, but it's kind of gross, so I suggest maple syrup. Or you can put dates in there because we're going to be using a blender. I've tried dates before to sweeten rice milk and I couldn't taste anything. I couldn't taste any sweetness at all. So I'm going to use maple syrup. And I'm going to put a tiny splash of vanilla in mine. But vanilla is optional. If you're using it for savory things instead of sweet things, I don't suggest using vanilla because it won't taste right in your recipes. One recipe is going to yield about 4 cups of oat milk minus a little. You need 1 cup of oats and then 4 cups of water. I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of maple syrup and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, so I'm just going to put this straight into my Ninja blender. I've got 1 cup of oats. This is 2 cups of water. And I'm going to get 2 more cups of water. This is going to be about the maximum capacity for my blender. And so you want to be careful when you put your ingredients in your blender that it doesn't explode everywhere like mine did the first time that I made this. So that's 1 cup of oats and 4 cups of water. And now I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. 2 tablespoons of maple syrup has 24 grams of sugar in it. So that's 24 divided by 4. What's that, like a 6 times 4 is 24? So it's 6 grams of sugar per cup. That's pretty good. The store-bought stuff, it's hard to get it as low as 6 grams per cup. And then we'll do 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I think that's it, right? Okay, so in order to prevent a big mess from happening, I'm going to try putting all the ingredients in, but throwing a towel over top. I don't know if this is going to work.
You've done it before.
No, what I did last time was I split the recipe in half and I blended half at a time. That way it didn't explode everywhere. So let's see if I can do this. Okay. Okay, that's working just fine. The towel is keeping all of the oat milk from exploding out. So you want to blend it for, I'm going to count to 60 and do this for a full minute. Okay, so my little hand towel here is pretty soaked in oat milk from holding it over the top of this opening. But it worked. I was able to blend it all in one batch this time. And I forgot to mention that I'm using quick oats, but I don't think it matters because it's all going in the blender anyway. I've only made this recipe with quick oats. Okay, so now it's time to strain all of this liquid that we've made. Okay, so I've got just a regular metal fine strainer here, and I'm going to strain it first using this. I don't think this mason jar is going to be quite big enough for 4 cups of liquid, but we're just going to start here, pouring very carefully into the wide mouth mason jar, and I'm still spilling it. I'm just going to get the biggest chunks of oat out first this way, and then I'm going to strain it a couple more times to get more out. Woo! I'm going to turn the strainer so that I can pour it through the side where there's no oats clogging it up. Woo-wee! Okay, that's almost the mason jar full, and I've only got a little bit of liquid left in the bottom here. No, baby, you can't grab that. Okay, I got it all. It's at the very tippy tip top of the jar, but that's okay. And what I've strained here is just oats and water. basically. So I'm going to keep that and make oatmeal out of it and eat it later. I'm going to get a bowl to put that in. Okay. The oats, they come out pretty easily. Into a bowl. Okay, now I'm going to strain it again the same way with the same type of strainer. Again, just catching all the biggest stuff. And oh, baby, watch your hand. This is going to be really hard to pour because this is extremely full. Okay, not so bad. I'm making a mess, but it's fine. That's what kitchens are for. Okay. I feel like I have more oat milk now than I did in the first jar. How is that physically possible? Okay. Now I got a little bit more oats. Doing it that way, you can see. Alright, so now that I'm done with the mesh strainer, I'm going to get a more fine strainer, and you can use cheesecloth doubled up on top of itself, or you can use, I've got a flour sack towel, and this is a flour sack towel from Walmart. It is like almost, you can almost see through it, but not quite. I know it's kind of hard to tell on the video. I'll put my hand behind it, maybe you can see. Yeah, kind of. But you can almost see through it. You can see the color of my hand through the cloth. It's a clean, lint-free flour sack towel. These are like $1 each at Walmart. You can get a pack of 7 for $7 or something like that. I have a whole bunch of other ones that I use for cloth diapers. But anyway, let's get the bowl ready. So I have a big, wide metal bowl here. And the reason I've got a wide one is that these tiny little holes fill up really, really fast. And I like to pour the oat milk all over the surface area of that. No, you can't have that. Of the towel. That way, if it clogs up in one spot, I can use another spot. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I've got my clothespins here to keep the, no, you can't have that, baby. To keep the towel from sagging into the bowl and getting inside the oat milk. And it's still sagging when I push on it, so I'm going to keep adding clips around the edge until the whole bowl looks incredibly ridiculous. Oh, bless you. Are you allergic to YouTube? Okay, so I'm going to take my oat milk and slowly pour it onto this towel, and it is sagging a little bit, but it's not falling all the way inside because it has some space. Okay. Okay. You can see there's some dregs of oats left here in the bottom, but that's what I'm collecting. So in order to convince this to go through, as you can see, it's like a little swimming pool of oaty milk right now. I'm going to use this spoon to scoop like this, the bottom to scrape the towel so that all the oats get scraped away and the liquid is able to go through. And it's feeling like it's sagging a lot right now. I did not sag this much the last time that I did it. So maybe I just didn't clothespin it as tight as I should have. But once I get most of the liquid out by doing this, by stirring and kind of convincing it to go through the towel. Oh my goodness, I just sloshed it all over myself. Then I will pick up the towel and squeeze it. I'm just trying to get as much of the water out as I can before I do that. Okay, now that I've stirred this around for less than a minute, most of the liquid has gone through. There's just like wet oats on top now. So I'm going to take these clothespins off. And I'm going to pick up the flour sack towel and squeeze it. You could probably just discard this bit. It's not that bad, but I'm just going to squeeze because this part is really creamy and I like my oat milk creamy. Yummy. Okay, so now all I've got in this towel is just soggy oat bits. So this I'm gonna scrape off into my compost pile and then rinse, and then I'll throw it in my laundry. Okay, so this is what you see in the bowl when you're done. That's your oat milk. It's now ready to be poured back into these handy dandy mason jars, and I'll put lids on them. I'm gonna rinse out the mason jars to get all those oats out, and I'll put lids on them. I think it'll all fit in one mason jar, and then write the date on it because it doesn't last more than like 4 or 5 days in the fridge. So you'll want to make sure you use it up, and then make some new stuff before it goes bad. And that's it. It is delicious, creamy, homemade oat milk in like 10 minutes. Okay, I put vanilla in mine because I like how it tastes. I just put half a teaspoon of vanilla in the mason jar before I put all the oat milk in the mason jar. And then I put a label on the top that says what it is and what day I made it, so that I know what it is and when to throw it away. And then I'll just do this to mix up the vanilla, and it's ready to eat. And I like to have it with coffee because it's extremely thick and creamy. Or I eat it with Dandy Blend instead of coffee because I don't drink coffee anymore. But it's really good. I've also had it in cereal with Cheerios, which is pretty funny because I'm basically eating oatmeal at that point. It's oats with oat milk. And my son drinks it straight. He likes it just as it is. And he drinks a lot of cow milk, so if he likes oat milk, you know it's good. Although I will say it does not taste like cow milk at all. For those of you that are unfamiliar with milk substitutes, great for baking and cooking and that kind of thing, but it's not going to taste like milk, just so you know. All right, and that's it. One big old mason jar full of oat milk in just a few minutes. Say bye-bye, baby. Bye-bye.